Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I am Steve Shaw, editorial director at TigerFitness.com, also known as the Big Hairy Ugly Dude, kids. The Big Hairy Ugly Dude who actually lifts things called barbells and dumbbells. Guys, in this video, I want to address a question that was sent to me regarding the Hodge Twins. Now, the gentleman who was asking the question said that in one of the Hodge Twins videos, they said something like, if you train to failure on every set, it's detrimental to your central nervous system or your CNS. So the premise was that if you train to failure on every set, it can impact your CNS, your central nervous system, in a negative way. Therefore, you should not train to failure on every set. So before I get into the topic, I just want to say I haven't seen the video personally. I don't know for a fact that this is exactly what the Hodge Twins are saying. Therefore, I'm just going to address the topic. Does training to failure on every set impact your central nervous system or your CNS? The quick answer is no. That's way too generic of an analysis. Now, I want you to understand something. This is an important fact. A lot of times on the internet, people will rehash the same old don't train to failure nonsense. They use these blanket statements like, if you train to failure, it's detrimental on every exercise. Or they'll say, don't ever train to failure. It's detrimental for this reason, this reason, this reason, etc. The thing that most people miss when it comes to training to failure is that every exercise is different. It's much easier to train to failure on some exercises than it is on other exercises. Training to failure on cable rows, on seated cable rows is much easier on the body than training to failure on deadlifts. Now, it's not only easier physically, it's also easier on the central nervous system. If you train to failure on deadlifts, it's going to be more impactful. It's going to be more detrimental from a central nervous system standpoint. So you got to understand there's multiple systems in the body, and some of these exercises, training to failure, can impact these systems more than others. Some can have a greater impact on your joints. Some can have a greater impact on your central nervous system. In general, most exercises, it's okay to train to failure. Now, I am not a fan of training to failure. I don't believe it's necessary, but on certain exercises you can. Certain exercises, it isn't a big deal. The biggest issue I see with training to failure on some of the big hitting exercises, obviously like squats and deadlifts, and exercises that can be really taxing physically, is that your form starts to break down as you get close to failure. And it's not that training to failure on these exercises is necessarily detrimental to your central nervous system. They could or couldn't be, depending on the individual and what that daily programming is like. It's more that on things like squats and deadlifts, when you train to failure, it is your form's going to start to break down at the end, and you are risking injury. So there's never any need on those big exercises. Most of you guys will know this, so that's an obvious. But if you set those exercises aside and look at all the other exercises, other than similar exercises to squats and squats and deadlifts, like good mornings and rack deadlifts, etc. If you set the squat and deadlift variations aside, or exercises similar to them like good mornings, it's really generally pretty okay to train to failure because there's not a lot of risk involved. So when it comes to the concept of training to failure, understand A, it's not necessary, but B, if you want to do it occasionally when you're pushing sets to the limit, just listen to your body. Make sure your form doesn't break down. Make sure your form doesn't break down. Make sure you stop a set when you feel your form is starting to break down. But is the generic statement, is training to failure bad for your central nervous system? That is way too generic of an analysis, and the quick answer is no. There's very few exercises that training to failure on is going to impact your central nervous system in any noteworthy or traumatic way. The only time I've ever impacted my central nervous system over my near 30 years of training was pushing deadlifts and squats way too hard, doing too many reps or pushing them too close to failure. So whether the Hodge Twins said this or didn't say this, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. But the blanket statement that training to failure impacts your CNS is way too generic, and it misses the fact that every exercise is different, and some exercises, quite frankly, most exercises, are very easy to push to failure. So that's the bottom line. So guys, I hope this video has been of some help. If you have any questions or comments, guys, there's a Q&A link below. Come on over, post your question in that Q&A link. I answer every question posted. And if you made it this far in this video and have yet to subscribe to my channel, please do. I would appreciate the support. If you're on Instagram, check me out at @BenTheBarMan. So guys, as always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.